Have you ever witnessed a small act of kindness completely transform someone's life? That's exactly what happened when Jake, a struggling single dad and mechanic, helped a stranded teenager on a rainy night. What he didn't know was that this simple good deed would change everything. If this kind of real-life inspiration moves you, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories that restore your faith in humanity. Jake Wilson wiped the sweat from his brow as he finished up with his last scheduled customer of the day. His small auto repair shop, Wilson's Wheels, sat on the edge of town, not quite in the industrial district, but far enough from the affluent neighborhoods that his rent remained affordable. The place wasn't much to look at: concrete floors stained with decades of oil, walls lined with tools, and a small office with a desk that doubled as his accounting department, customer service, and occasionally, when work ran late, his dinner table. At 38, Jake's hands were permanently stained with grease, his face weathered beyond his years. The last decade had been rough since his wife passed away, leaving him to raise their daughter Lily alone. Now 16, Lily was the light of his life, though lately, the distance between them seemed to be growing. She was embarrassed by his work clothes, his calloused hands, the lingering smell of motor oil that never quite washed away. He'd overheard her friends snickering about her grease monkey dad when they thought he couldn't hear. The rain had started coming down hard, drumming against the metal roof of the garage. Jake was about to close up shop when he heard the unmistakable sound of a car limping along on a flat tire. Through the open bay door, he saw a sleek silver BMW pull into his lot, moving slowly before coming to a complete stop. For a moment, nobody emerged from the vehicle. Then the driver's door opened, and a teenage girl stepped out, immediately getting drenched in the downpour. She looked about Lily's age, wearing what appeared to be an expensive private school uniform. Her face was streaked with tears, mixing with the raindrops as she approached the garage. "Are you still open?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I have a flat, and I don't know what to do. My mom's going to kill me." Jake nodded, grabbing a large umbrella from behind the counter. "Let's take a look," he said, walking her back to the car. The right front tire was completely flat, the expensive rim scraping against the pavement. "You drove on this for a while," he observed, noticing the damage to the wheel. "I didn't know what else to do," she admitted, wiping at her eyes. "I was at debate practice, and it ran late, and my mom couldn't pick me up because she's at some important business dinner, and now I've ruined her car, and," she broke off, fresh tears spilling. "Hey, it's okay," Jake said gently. "What's your name?" "Emma," she sniffled. "Emma Caldwell." The name Caldwell rang a bell. Caldwell Industries owned half the commercial real estate in town, including the building that housed his shop. His rent had doubled last year when they acquired the property. "Well, Emma, let's get your car into the bay and see what we can do." As Jake jacked up the BMW and removed the damaged tire, two of his regular customers, men who worked at the factory down the road, came by to pick up a part. They nodded at Jake and then noticed the luxury vehicle. "Whoa, moving up in the world, Wilson," one of them joked. "Fixing rich people's problems now?" "Car's a car," Jake replied evenly, not looking up from his work. "Bet that rim costs more than your monthly rent," the other man said with a laugh. "Better not scratch it, or Daddy might sue you into oblivion." Emma stood awkwardly to the side, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "That's enough," Jake said firmly. "Either buy your parts or move along." The men snickered but paid for their items and left, not before one of them muttered, "Grease monkey's got a crush on the rich girl." Jake saw Emma's discomfort and offered a reassuring smile. "Don't mind them. Some people feel better when they're putting others down." "I'm used to it," Emma said quietly. "People always assume things about me because of my family." Jake nodded, understanding all too well. "The tire's beyond repair, and the rim is damaged. I can put on your spare for tonight, but you'll need a new tire and possibly a new rim." "How much will that cost?" Emma asked, her voice small. "For the temporary fix tonight?" "Nothing. For the new tire and rim? Probably around $800, depending on what your mom wants to do. Emma's eyes widened. I can't ask my mom for that. She's already stressed about work, and she told me to be careful with the car. Jake thought about his own daughter, how devastated she'd be in this situation. Tell you what, I'll put on the spare, and you can have your mom call me tomorrow. We'll figure something out. Relief washed over Emma's face. Really? Thank you so much. As Jake worked on the car, Emma sat on a stool nearby, watching him with curiosity. Have you always been a mechanic? She asked. Pretty much. Started working in my uncle's garage when I was 16, took over this place about 12 years ago. Do you like it? Jake paused, considering the question. I do. There's something satisfying about fixing things, making something work again when it's broken. He tightened the lug nuts on the spare tire. Not everyone sees it that way, though. What do you mean? Jake shrugged. Some people think it's just dirty work. Not prestigious enough. Like my mom, Emma said softly. She's always talking about prestigious careers and important connections. That's all that matters to her. Jake lowered the car back to the ground. Parents want what's best for their kids. Sometimes they just have different ideas about what best means. Do you have kids? Emma asked. A daughter. Lily. She's about your age. Does she think being a mechanic is cool? Jake laughed, but there was a hint of sadness in it. Not lately. She used to. When she was little, she'd sit right where you are, asking questions about every tool, every part. Now she can barely look at me when I pick her up from school in my work clothes. Emma was quiet for a moment. That's not fair. You're helping people. Like you helped me. Jake smiled, touched by her words. All done. The spare will get you home safely, but don't drive over 50 miles per hour on it. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson. How much do I owe you? Jake is fine. And don't worry about it. Just have your mom call the shop tomorrow. Emma hesitated, then impulsively gave him a quick hug, not caring about the grease stains that might transfer to her uniform. You're a lifesaver. After Emma left, Jake closed up shop and drove home to the small two-bedroom house he shared with Lily. He found her at the kitchen table, textbooks spread out around her. Hey, kiddo. Sorry I'm late. Had a last-minute customer. Lily barely looked up. There's leftover pasta in the fridge. Jake warmed up his dinner and sat across from her. How was school? Fine. Any plans this weekend? Mia invited me to sleep over on Saturday. Mia? Is that the new friend from your biology class? Lily sighed dramatically. Dad, I've been friends with Mia for like 3 months now. Right, sorry. Jake took a bite of pasta. Her parents okay with it? Her mom is. Her dad's not really in the picture. Jake nodded, understanding the complexities of single parenthood. Well, that's fine. Just let me know if you need a ride. Actually, Lily said, finally looking up, Mia's mom said she could pick me up. If that's okay. Jake felt a familiar pang. He knew what this was about. Lily was embarrassed by his beat-up truck with the Wilson's Wheels logo on the side. Sure, that works. They ate in silence for a few minutes before Lily spoke again. Dad? Do you ever wish you did something else? Like, not being a mechanic? The question caught him off guard. Sometimes, I guess. Why? Lily shrugged, pushing her food around her plate. Just wondering. Mia's mom is a lawyer. And Zoe's dad is a doctor. And Trent's parents own that big real estate company. Caldwell Industries? Jake asked, thinking of Emma. Yeah. Trent's always bragging about their vacation homes and stuff. Is Trent Emma Caldwell's brother? Lily looked surprised. Yeah. How did you know that? Emma came into the shop tonight with a flat tire. Seemed like a nice kid. Lily's expression changed, a mix of curiosity and something else, concern, maybe. You met Emma Caldwell? What was she like? Scared about damaging her mom's car. Worried about getting in trouble. Normal teenager stuff. She's not normal, Dad. The Caldwells are like the richest family in town. Emma's always getting dropped off at school in a different luxury car. Jake thought about the tearful girl in his garage, so vulnerable and human. Money doesn't make you any less normal on the inside, Lil. Everyone has their struggles. Lily rolled her eyes. Easy for you to say. You don't have to go to school with people who have everything. The comment stung, but Jake let it go. I'm going to grab a shower. Don't stay up too late, okay? Later that night, as Jake lay in bed staring at the ceiling, he thought about both girls, his daughter, increasingly ashamed of their modest life, and Emma Caldwell, who despite her family's wealth, had seemed genuinely grateful for his help. He wondered what Emma's mother would be like when she called tomorrow. Probably imperious and demanding, like most of the wealthy clients who occasionally found their way to his shop when their regular mechanics were booked. The next morning, Jake arrived at the garage early. He had a full schedule of oil changes and brake repairs, but he couldn't stop thinking about the damaged BMW rim. He made a few calls to his suppliers, trying to find the best price on a replacement. Around 10 o'clock, the phone rang. Wilson's Wheels, he answered. Hello, this is Katherine Caldwell. My daughter Emma told me you helped her with a flat tire last night. The voice was crisp and professional, but not as cold as he'd expected. Yes, that's right. I put the spare on, but she'll need a new tire and possibly a new rim. The original was pretty damaged from driving on it flat. I see. Emma mentioned you were very kind to her. She was quite upset, and apparently, you calmed her down and wouldn't accept payment. Jake shifted uncomfortably. It wasn't a big deal. I have a daughter her age. I know how scary these situations can be for teenagers. There was a pause on the other end. Well, I appreciate your kindness. What would be the best way to proceed with the repairs? I can order the parts today. The car should be ready by tomorrow afternoon if that works for you. That would be perfect. And the cost? Jake quoted her a price that was actually below his usual markup. He wasn't sure why he did it, maybe because the Caldwells owned his building, or maybe because of Emma's genuine gratitude the night before. That seems very reasonable, Katherine said, sounding slightly surprised. I'll have my assistant drop off the car within the hour. True to her word, a sleek black Lexus pulled up to the garage 45 minutes later. A man in a suit stepped out, handed Jake the BMW keys, and left in the Lexus without saying much. Jake got to work on the car, fitting it in between his regular appointments. By the end of the day, he'd managed to not only replace the tire but also find a refurbished rim that matched perfectly, saving the Caldwells several $100s. He was just closing up shop when another car pulled into the lot, this time a dark blue Range Rover. A woman emerged, tall and elegant in a tailored suit, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Even from a distance, Jake could tell this was Katherine Caldwell. She carried herself with the confidence of someone used to commanding rooms. Mr. Wilson, she called as she approached. Jake, please, he said, wiping his hands on a rag before extending one to her. She shook it firmly. Katherine Caldwell. I understand my daughter's car is ready. Yes, all set. New tire, refurbished rim. Good as new. Katherine nodded, her eyes scanning the modest garage. Emma hasn't stopped talking about how you helped her last night. She said you were kind when she was crying, and you didn't make her feel stupid for not knowing what to do. Jake shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. No, Katherine said firmly. They wouldn't have. In fact, Emma told me she called 3 other places before you, and they were either closed or said they couldn't help until morning. Jake didn't know what to say to that, so he handed her the invoice. Here's the bill. I found a refurbished rim that matched perfectly, so it's a bit less than I quoted on the phone. Katherine studied the invoice, her brow furrowing. This seems very low. It's the friends and family rate, Jake said with a small smile. We're not friends or family, Katherine pointed out, though there was a hint of amusement in her voice. No, but Emma reminds me of my daughter. I'd hope someone would do the same for Lily if she were stranded somewhere. Katherine's expression softened slightly. Your daughter is lucky to have a father like you. Jake thought about Lily's increasing embarrassment over his profession, her desire for a more prestigious family background. I'm not so sure she thinks so these days. Something in his tone must have resonated with Katherine because she gave him a searching look. Teenagers. They go through phases where nothing we do is right. You too? Jake asked, surprised. Katherine laughed, a warm sound that transformed her face. Oh yes. Emma and her brother Trent are experts at making me feel like the most clueless person on the planet. Especially since their father left. The casual mention of being a single parent created an unexpected connection between them. It's not easy doing it alone, Jake agreed. No, it's not. Katherine glanced at her watch. I should get going. What forms of payment do you accept? Cash, check, all major credit cards. Katherine pulled out her wallet and handed him a credit card. As Jake ran the transaction, she wandered around the garage, looking at the various tools and equipment with genuine interest. You know, she said as he returned her card, Caldwell Industries owns this building. Jake tensed slightly. I'm aware. My rent went up considerably last year. Katherine frowned. Did it? That's not our usual practice for small businesses unless there were significant property improvements. There weren't, Jake said simply. I'll look into that, she said, her tone suggesting she meant it. We value our small business tenants. They're the backbone of the community. Jake was skeptical but appreciated the sentiment. Thank you for your business, Miss Caldwell. Katherine, please. She took the keys to the BMW, then hesitated. Actually, I have a proposition for you, if you're interested. What kind of proposition? Caldwell Industries has a fleet of vehicles, company cars, delivery vans, that sort of thing. We currently contract with a large service center across town, but their work has been subpar lately, and they're not particularly responsive when we have urgent needs. Jake raised an eyebrow, beginning to see where this was going. I'd like to discuss the possibility of transferring our fleet maintenance contract to Wilson's Wheels. It would be a significant amount of regular work, with the understanding that our vehicles would receive priority service when needed. Jake was stunned. A contract like that would transform his business, providing steady income and potentially allowing him to hire another mechanic. That's a very generous offer. It's not generosity, it's good business, Katherine corrected him. You've demonstrated reliability, honesty, and quality work. Those are the attributes I look for in any business partner. I'd need to see the details, of course, Jake said, trying to maintain his composure. Of course. I'll have my assistant email you the current contract terms, and we can negotiate from there. She handed him a business card with her direct contact information. And perhaps we could discuss it over dinner sometime? The invitation caught Jake completely off guard. Dinner? Katherine smiled, a hint of vulnerability breaking through her professional demeanor. Yes, dinner. That meal people sometimes share in the evening? I find business discussions are often more productive in a relaxed setting. Jake couldn't help but smile back. I'd like that.